2023. Time is, I'm sorry, 4:04. Call this planning commission meeting to order for January 4th, 2023. Time is 16:04. I would ask Commissioner Thompson to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Sorry about my hand, folks.
Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You must excuse my appearance. I just barely got off the work. Sorry about that.
Any of the commissioners have disclosures? Yes. Okay. Agenda. Anybody see any issues with the agenda tonight? Pretty simple, right? Motion.
I motion that we approve the agenda as it stands.
Second it.
Motion second for the vote from the left.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, takes us to business items. Okay, so discussion item is the discussion ordinance 2022 XX nightly rental ordinance to establish conditions for commercial zones. I think we all know that this was a tabled item in the last meeting to give us more time to bullet point the reasons for denial. And why we don't believe that this fits within the fabric of Tokerville. We did get another version of the ordinance. Has everybody looked at that? Had a chance to look at it? And it changes anybody's mind on how we want to proceed with it? Okay. All right, so I asked actually Andrea if she would write up, go through the general plan, the codes, and also the new survey, and just kind of give us something that we could work with tonight to go through. And I think you've all seen that, had time to go through it. So what I'd like to see done tonight would be to take that and make changes how we see fit. Anything we want to change in that, or add, delete, whatever. Let's go ahead and do that.
I like the whole thing as it is. Covers every base you got. It covers the wants and needs of Tokerville and the citizens. I don't see what else. I made a very good job at it. You picked all the points I had. I'll make a motion on this.
So,
Excuse me?
Well, you can't send off, you can't sit here and collaborate without.
there was no, this was her document. There was no collaboration on it all. This is,
There's not been
I
a
asked
discussion or
everybody to
anything.
look at it separately, and if you have any changes or anything you want to add to it, to do that. But I did want to have something that we came here tonight to be able to look at, so it wasn't a 4-hour meeting coming up about the points. that were-
This is 100% everything I wrote.
This is not a collaboration.
I wrote that.
Well, borderline is just a little bit too long. No, that's fine because it's like you freaking together and talking about it, or you emailing back and forth between about it.
Correct.
If you're a quorum, you cannot do that without a open public meeting. You're violating the open public act.
We're not doing that.
And that's,
She said it to all of you guys on me.
I just barely got this 2 hours ago.
Let's hear it tonight.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize.
No, but you're right in that tracking.
You know
No, I didn't.
No.
put it out saying that.
That's what I thought, that's what I heard. I apologize.
Yeah, it was given.
So this is for discussion tonight. I'm not sure if that should have been made public, but I should have probably.
Well, that's why I didn't, because I didn't want to send it out and have that same issue that you're talking about.
And just the appearance, the optics is, that's all I'm saying. That might not be wrong, but it could be weird.
It's super great,
Yeah.
like, so great that let's not go to bed.
Nobody
So I
has
should have
gone
written
there.
this in here and read it then,
Yes.
live.
Let's make that clear. Nobody has gone there. For the record.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want you to be in a bad spot. That's all.
We're always in a
Yeah,
bad spot.
Appearance, it might not be, but.
We're in a tight spot.
And I give it okay when I just show them.
Right.
These can't finish before.
Well, we all put our ideas together, each of us, and then we're bringing them to the meeting tonight. Right.
Yeah, and that's-
But that's supposed to happen in the public.
But we haven't done.
And that's where we're at right now.
That's
That's
where
why
we're
I
at. It's not
asked
a
to
list.
add the things that you have that you want to put in here.
No, these are just her ideas. But I got you.
She picked off every comment and thing I had.
Well, if you wanted to make it really clean, you take it item by item and see what it is.
Well, that's what I would suggest that we do, is let's do that. I know that we've all been looking through it. I think we all probably have our own stuff written up to add that, so. Can you turn that heat down?
Yeah, it is kind of warm, isn't it? I'm about dying in here.
Okay, so we'll start off with this document that she just gave us. And if you have your other stuff that we'll add into this, we'll do that. So on page 1, we'll just get down to where it says 2017 general plan. So we're just talking about what is in the general plan. Page 1 of the general plan states the public participation occurring during the formulation.
We need to pull this up. Do you have that information?
Yeah.
Do you have that in the email that's for you? Yeah. You send it to your reporter, please, can you pull it up on the screen?
I get you. That's fine. It just sounded like.
But we
So
have an
in the
obligation.
future, it
Yes,
has to
We
be,
have an obligation for this. up on the
can
screen.
I,
We have to transact in the public eye.
And if anybody else has something like that. you're-
Does anybody else have anything they'd like uploaded?
Yeah, but I
you're
don't.
talking about we have to upload our notes. So this was the only, I had asked her to put something together so we could use it as something to go out and look at.
So this is this, so let's just be clear about what's happening, because this is a special, obviously a special planning commission, it's a roundabout normally happens. So let's be clear. So what happened is last time, we were supposed to bring their talking points to here today, and you were gonna come up with either some sort of a motion or something that needs to be changed from the ordinance, or not changing the ordinance or making a motion. So we were under the impression that the format of the meeting was that we were going to start with somebody, and it would start with the people who are here. She's an alternate, she should go last. The first way you should start is with the people who are actually here, that if this goes to a recommendation, so we would start with, say, Val or whoever you decide. But we would start with whoever is on the commission. You don't start with alternates, you start with who is on the commission, who would be making the recommendation. We can hear from her, but we could hear from her after. So you would start with, say, Val. And Val, did you bring your talking points? Okay, so we would start with yours and see if there's anything that you want to go, and then you could move to however you decide as the chairman that you would like to do that. But she would be last. She's an alternate, and she is not making a recommendation either way. She's providing input, but not. So you would start with whoever is here to make a recommendation.
I think that makes sense. So-
Except, if I may, with one exception. This.
Correct.
because-
But that's what I'm saying. So he's, yes. So
Okay, well, with that, let's start with you, Valerie, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Go for some-
Okay, number 1, Tokerville does not want to be a tourist destination or promote the city as any type of destination. According to the new survey, number 10, Approximately 85 to 90% surveyed said. Number 2, why do citizens choose to live here? New survey question number 5 states that 98% want a quiet community, 96% said they want a small town atmosphere, 89% said they like the open space. Number 3, new survey question number 6 said approximately 90% want to preserve the 96% want to preserve and establish open space. Approximately 90% want to continue to limit short-term rentals. Approximately 95% want to keep low-density dwelling units at 1 to 2 per acre. Approximately 95% want to preserve agricultural land. Approximately 95% want to provide for new commercial development only adjacent to the new bypass and Anderson Junction. The old Tokerville General Plan also states these same attitudes. Page 5 states, residents have expressed a strong desire to maintain the existing residential character of the community. And we know that residents have encouraged the city to use caution in expanding opportunities for non-residential land use, especially in the area of existing neighborhoods. Page 5 also states that as a priority, the city will maintain and enforce land use policies and ordinances that complement the area's rural lifestyle and character. Page 6, Objective 3 states that we are to maintain existing general residential density. Page 7, Objective number 2 states we promote commercial development in areas and in a manner that does not impact existing or planned residential development and does not detract from the residential character of the community. Page 11, housing desired for future conditions states that the city will maintain current patterns of residential development in terms of lot size and density when new housing projects are proposed. In short, Tokerville does not want to be a tourist destination. The majority of its citizens want to maintain the small town feel. Having a new city center with commercial businesses along the new bypass is acceptable, and new housing developments with smaller lots in that area is acceptable, but not short-term rental homes, either adjacent or non-adjacent.
So, okay, I'm just trying to figure out how this goes as a recommendation with all of this. So I guess we just submit.
We'll just go to the very, hear from everybody and then the last.
Then we make a recommendation.
Okay, great.
Very good. I do agree with the information as Val presented it. I don't have as detailed of that point list as she does, but in looking at the city plan and what, not only the 2017 city plan, but the things that were presented by residents, even though the 2022 isn't an officially written document yet, but that all of the same ideas and things that the residents want are parallel in the new questionnaire and the old city plan. And I don't see how we can possibly go against the wishes of the community. You can itemize it by individual ordinances, but in general, the city plan is opposed to having a housing complex become a short-term rental.
I have done some research just looking at the affordable housing and the lack thereof. I do know Jenny's got some more information, I believe, with the housing issues. But one of the things I just read about was that Utah legislature is looking at telling cities and towns to limit nightly rentals. One of the reason being, and that's even stated in our general plan, that there is a lack of moderate income And it's directly related to the nightly rental, and that's why the state is taking that stance. Looking at, I keep hearing over and over that the general plan is a guideline, and it is a guideline. And I understand that. I know that a city government can make it it's something you must adhere to, but I believe we look at it as a guideline. However, I think when you look at how some of the ordinances are written, it takes that guideline and moves it from a guideline when it says shall or must. To me, that says it has to fit the general plan. And so with that being said, there's many different ordinances that we have that direct right to must or shall or should conform, that kind of thing. With 10.7.2 consistency policy, it says that in accordance with Utah annotated section, the city council has adopted a policy that all land use decisions, zoning, location of streets, park, utilities, public buildings must be in accordance with the general plan. That's a must, not a maybe if you want to use this as a guideline. 10.7.3 amendments, standards for review. These are standards for review for an ordinance or for the general plan amendment. Meets a recognized or demonstrated need in the community. I think by what I said before, we already have a lack of housing in our community. Nightly rentals would not demonstrate a need in our community. So on that need alone, I would not change the general plan to say, oh yeah, we can add these based on that. Item 6 in the amendments will not require a level community facility greater than that which is available. I think when you bring in townhomes and you cluster them and you're doing all that, I do think that it's not just that area, but it's all the other things that are involved in that. That could, especially right now, without knowing what we have coming in. I mean, we have an idea, but we haven't seen where the gas station's going, where the supermarket's going. We don't know these things. So at this point in planning, I couldn't make that recommendation on that. Will not otherwise be detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of present. Health, safety, maybe not welfare. Some people in Tokerville actually rely on their nightly rentals just to stay here, just to live in their homes. I can actually see where that could be detrimental to those people if you come in and want to sell communities for nightly rentals. So 10.15.C1, purpose and intent of an MPDO. A master plan development overlay zone is intended to provide an alternative to the conventional zoning and land development approaches to encourage the most creative and innovative development land. This overlay zone may allow the standards of this article to be applied to all areas of the city. It is the intent of this article to assure that the character of the underlying zones and surrounding districts maintain in harmony with the general plan. This is a common statement in how we should adhere to our general plan in our land uses. 10.15.C5, requirements, standards for MPDO, conformance with the general plan. The land uses and design of the proposed MPDO shall be consistent with the city's general plan. Let's go to 10.18. This is standard for review for building permits. The proposed uses, structures, and site improvements conform to the following: the city general plan. 10.19A, to implement the goals and objectives of the city general plan. That is the subdivision. So it's to implement the goals of the general plan in any subdivision. So what's this guy called? Survey. I believe she didn't caught most of it. So, and I stated some of these things in our last meeting, but just to give you, just to set it a little bit more, the survey that we just had, although it's not the new general plan, it has had a lot of thought and process put into it. So the survey results show low-density developments continue to limit short-term rentals, do not or does not support tourist-oriented developments and commercial recreation projects, preserve the rural character of the city, encourage housing for moderate income residents. Tokerville should not promote the city as a tourist destination. Tokerville should not promote the city as any type of destination. Why do residents choose to live in Tokerville? 89% like open space, 98% quiet community, 96% small town atmosphere.
Okay, you two have covered most of everything. One of the things I want to cover is the state, and you alluded to this. State wants medium density, or not medium density, but medium income housing. And according to their numbers, at 10% nightly rental, it increases the home values by 47%, I think is what it was. If the cities, according to the state, if the cities don't get a handle on medium income housing, they are going to do it. They're going to force the cities to do it. And certainly the city does not want that. I don't think any city wants that. I think it's irresponsible to be looking at creating zones just for developers to have excessive nightly rentals. We already have a nightly rental ordinance. If this is denied, or if this is, if this planning commission recommends denial, and if the city council follows our recommendation, that doesn't prohibit new homeowners out there from creating a nightly rental on their own. And if this is passed, this doesn't prohibit the other people who are out of this zone from doing a nightly rental. So I don't think the city should be creating an ordinance where they can do a nightly rental on their own if they want, each individual homeowner. I think pretty much everything else has been said by you two.
Oh, what's left for me?
Ditto.
But I'll tell you my thoughts. When I took the oath, I promised fidelity. For you that don't know what fidelity means, it's true to the cause, faithful to the cause. And I'm going to stay true to what I'm thinking here. All these comments are great, and I had everyone picked out. This does not conform to the general plan. It has to conform because it's a land use. There's no other way around it. Your consistency policy, which is adopted by Tokerville, this is Tokerville City's consistency policy, says the same thing. You have to follow it, and this would be breaking the general plan, which you cannot do, and I will not do. I take a lot of weight in this survey. The town ordered it. They got it. This carries a lot of weight. It's just not a piece of paper because it's not a survey that's been adopted yet. It's a survey, and this is what the people want. This is a lot of weight. I can go through all these bullet points again. Traffic. You let that happen out there. Number 6 right here will not result in undue traffic and congestion and traffic hazards. We already discussed what that's going to cause. I'm not going to bend. It doesn't fit the general plan, and that's the way it is, the way I see it.
Okay. With that means,
And if we're ready for motion, I'm ready to make it.
Andrea.
We don't need any help.
I'll hear from Andrea.
I was trying to take notes and Val did it because I'm like, which ones are duplications? I'm not saying the same ones, but I mean, so I spent probably 30 or 40 hours going through the general plan and all of Tokerville City Code, looking for things to support the perspective I personally had, and I think we've had since we talked about it back in September. But in the general plan, it's just consistently through all of them, page 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, in multiple places, that Tokerville wants to maintain the residential character of our community, and it's just listed over and over again. And then, and then 12, 13, and 21 as well are multiple statements about maintaining that, as well as the affordable housing that was already mentioned. Sorry, I thought we were going to talk about one of these at a time. And now it's like, so I'm trying to get my thoughts back together. Sorry. You mentioned a few codes, Sean. There was a lot more even throughout our city codes, like in 1015C5. There's also C1 and D. As well as 1018A number 3, which is, we did the building permits. Dang it. So the general plans also mentioned again in scope in 1019B1 and in the concept plan in 1019C2 and in 19F3. Anyway, so it just goes on. And then again, I think you guys have all touched on the survey results, and I was trying to just do our main pieces. I'm trying to take opinions out of it. I think one of the most important ones was the existing 2017 general plan, the survey that's come out that again has multiple items that say we want low density. They want our constituents want us to limit the short-term rentals. We don't want to be a tourist destination. We want to maintain the rural character. These are all the questions listed. And the most important one that I put at the end of my own notes, which was actually the shortest, is our Tokerville residents. They came in September, they came in December, and and we had many people talk to us here and individually, even outside of here, that this does not align with the lifestyle that they or others want in our community. So as representatives of our constituents, well, I think development is very important, and they're allowed to build and do things. I think the things they want to build need to align with the environment that our residents want to have.
I just have a couple of questions. So are we not allowed as a planning commission to email each other? Okay. And then I have a vague recollection of, and correct me if I'm wrong, the attorney in a previous meeting saying something about how our current ordinance is not going to stand. Was he talking about a specific situation, or does the current ordinance need revision? Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That could be, even city council, if they decide that they want to work in this or whatever, outside of other things, this will be back to the planning commission anyway. So
Okay.
But that's the existing record, not this one.
Okay. Okay. So what I want to say is I think I'm in agreement with, I think we all really love the character of Tokerville, and we definitely want to preserve it. My concern is that I think because we love it so much, we feel a little bit reactive to these new ideas that have been presented to us. And so I, since I'm new, have been reading trainings and looking at things. And I know we don't want to be a tourist destination, but we happen to be 30 minutes from Zion National Park.
And so this is something we are going to have to deal with, and our residents have been dealing with this, and we'll continue to do so. And I think that the fairest way for us to do it is to take our one that we like, that we already have, and only make the small changes that make it fair so that all property owners are treated the same. And that we take, I just want to be proactive about it. There's a really good training in that Daisy sent to me. It talks about all the things that we face. And especially, I think it's hard for us as a small town who's experiencing growing pains. So I just want to say, I support if we want to move to not approve this one, but I also think I'd like to see us be as careful as we can and as thoughtful as we can in adjusting the existing one so that it is going to be appropriate and treat I think all property owners should be treated equally before our city ordinances and the law. So.
One more follow-up comment. I actually believe in their rights as well. I think one of the things that many of our residents, or even me personally, struggle with is the developers that are coming in seem to want to have approval for everything they want to do for the next 20 or 30 years. Right now, I haven't seen, maybe there will come a time where I feel it might personally change my opinion that this may be an appropriate development for the area. So I think some of it is like, let's just design all of Tokerville for the next 20, 30, 50 years. Like, why don't we see what happens? I mean, we are a small town that has a lot coming already, that is coming before even any of this. And I would like to see some of that come in and then evaluate where we're at. And perhaps there will be a place for it, but I don't know that it all needs to be approved and agreed upon today. Sorry.
I also just want to recommend to everybody, there's a policy institute called the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute out of Salt Lake. And they recently put out a short-term rental report, and it talks about every single city and area in the state. And their reports that Washington County has from 2021 to 2022, we went from 3.1% of our residences to 3.5% as short-term rentals. So we went up, 0.4%. And I think that is significant. And I'm really glad that we've been talking about attainable housing because I think that's really important. But I think if we're also talking about preserving the existing character, maybe we could use something like that as a guideline where we want to keep it at a low percentage so that the residents have primary consideration.
To the book. I'll read this. This is Utah statute. The purpose of the general plan is to guide land use planning decisions. Under state law, subdivisions, capital improvements, development agreements, and many other land uses must be consistent with the adopted general plan. So however you feel, sympathy or not sympathy, our job is not that. It's to make the decisions that we've decided upon by our ordinances. We have a great ordinance right now, a great ordinance. Needs a little work. As far as I'm concerned, we have to act as a planning commission on that existing ordinances, how it reads as of right now, no matter what. I have no statute in front of me that says that have to be the resident. Until you can show that to me, we're bound to deny anything that comes along that doesn't, if you don't live here. But all emotions aside, we have to follow this. And we clearly decided that it does not meet the general plan, does not meet the future general plan. And I just think we're done with it. I'd like to make a motion. Now, clear me up. There's a difference between recommend and recommendation. What is it I'm making here? Okay, I make a motion that our recommendation is to deny ordinance. Is it like 2022XX? Help me through this. I need the wording.
Nightly rental commercial development ordinance.
Nightly rental commercial development ordinance, which is 2022XX. Well, that's it. It's just denial. We don't need anything else.
Well,
We have the bullet points
I would say based
Including-
on all the comments that were made by the planning.
based on the comments made by all commissioners and alternates. That is a recommendation, right? To deny.
A second that.
Okay. Motion and second for the vote.
Aye.
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 I did.
Thank you for all your homework.
Guess we're done. I adjourn this meeting.